let's dive into a really fascinating moment in Indian history, the 18th century. It was this incredible period of chaos, yeah, but also amazing opportunity. As this one giant empire began to fade, a whole new set of ambitious kingdoms popped up, and each one has its own incredible story of innovation and power.
So, for hundreds of years, the Mughals were the power on the subcontinent, no question. But then their empires started to crumble, and that left this huge power vacuum. The big question is, who stepped in to fill that void? And the answer isn't some single new empire, but this beautiful mosaic of daring and really innovative regional kingdoms. And these are the folks we're talking about today. These leaders, they weren't just rebels trying to break away. They were visionaries, you know? They were forging brand new destinies for themselves using military might, sheer strategic genius, and some absolutely incredible scientific innovation.
Okay, so our journey is going to take us to three really distinct regions. We've got Mysore, Kerala, and the Rajput states. Each one saw the crumbling Mughal control not just as a chance to survive, but as a chance to build something entirely new, to create whole new systems of power, basically from scratch. First up, we're heading south to the Kingdom of Mysore. These guys were technologically brilliant, and they would become this huge thorn in the side of the British. And the reason why? Well, it was pretty simple. They had a weapon that nobody else had. So what you're seeing here on this timeline is a classic story of a power grab. You have the official king, Wadiyar II, but he's really just a puppet. The real power, the person actually calling the shots, was this brilliant military commander named Hyder Ali. And he got it. He understood that the old ways of doing things just weren't going to cut it anymore. Here's what Hyder Ali figured out, and it was absolutely crucial. He knew that to build a modern state, you needed a modern army. So he didn't just copy what others were doing, he innovated. He brought in French experts to train his soldiers, and even built his own cutting-edge arsenal. And this is the key innovation. This is the big one. Before Mysore, rockets were basically just bamboo tubes. I mean, they were flimsy, unreliable, not very powerful. But Hyder Ali and his son, Tipu Sultan, they started using iron tubes instead. And that one simple change, it was a complete game changer on the battlefield. It's pretty simple when you break it down. The iron casing could handle way more pressure, which meant you could stuff more propellant inside. That created so much more thrust, giving the rockets a speed and a range that was just unheard of at the time. You can only imagine what it was like for the British troops facing these things for the first time. It was terrifying and devastatingly effective. And look at this number, 1,200. That's how many specialized troops Hyder Ali had just for operating his rocket launchers. This tells you this wasn't just some side project or a cool experiment. No, this technology was a core part of his military machine. So that brings us to a little pop quiz. Who was the first in the entire world to use iron-cased rockets on a large scale? You might think it was a European power, right? Nope. The answer is C, the Mysore army. They were the true pioneers of modern rocketry. Their designs were actually so good, they later inspired the British Congreve rockets used against Napoleon. In this spirit of innovation, it didn't stop with Hyder Ali. His son, Tipu Sultan, took it to a whole other level. He was a true modernizer. He reformed everything. We're talking a new calendar, new coins, new systems of weights and measures. He was even inspired by the French Revolution and planted a tree of liberty. The man sent diplomats to France and the Ottoman Empire. Tipu Sultan was a ruler thinking on a truly global scale. All right, so from the technological wizards in Mysore, let's head over to their neighbors in Kerala. This kingdom pulled off one of the most significant military victories against a European colonial power during this entire era. Picture this. At the start of the 18th century, Kerala is just this patchwork of little territories, all run by different feudal chiefs. But in 1729, a new ruler comes to the throne in the Kingdom of Travancore. His name is Martandavarma, and he has a huge vision: unite all these fractured lands into one strong, single state. And this chart here, it really just spells out the central problem. As Martandavarma started conquering more territory, he was directly threatening the Dutch East India Company's super profitable monopoly on the spice trade. It's a pretty simple graph. As his power goes up, their profits go way down. You just knew a fight was coming. Which brings us to this here.
1741. You're going to want to remember the date because it was a massive turning point, and not just for Kerala, but really for the whole history of European colonialism in Asia. This is the Battle of Kalachel, and it was a huge deal. Martanda Varma's army didn't just win, they delivered a crushing defeat to the Dutch. This wasn't some minor border fight, it was a decisive victory that completely shattered Dutch ambitions in the area. It basically ended their political power right then and there. What a blow to European prestige. And here's the crazy part. After the battle, the captured Dutch admiral, a guy named Eustachius de Lannoy, was so impressed with Travancore's forces that he basically switched sides. He went on to serve Martanda Varma for the next 20 years, using his own European expertise to modernize the very same army that had just defeated him. You can't make this stuff up. Okay, so we've seen military tech and brilliant strategy down south. Now, let's travel north to the Rajput states, because here we're going to meet a completely different kind of ruler, one whose ambition wasn't just about conquering land, but about mapping the stars and building cities based on pure science.
I want you to meet Raja Sawai Jai Singh of Jaipur. I mean, this guy was a true polymath, a man of the Enlightenment right there in 18th century India. He wasn't just a king. He was a respected astronomer, a skilled mathematician, a visionary city planner, and even a social reformer.
And he was obsessed with the stars. So much so that he didn't build just one observatory. No, he built 5 of them, an entire network of these massive astronomical instruments across northern India. They were designed for one purpose: to create the most accurate charts of the heavens anyone had ever seen. These weren't just buildings, they were scientific instruments on a massive architectural scale.
But this wasn't just some academic hobby for him. His love for science had real-world impact. He actually planned and founded the city of Jaipur based on a scientific grid system, and it's still considered a masterpiece of urban design today. And to spread that knowledge, he even had the foundational text of geometry, Euclid's Elements, translated into Sanskrit. Just amazing.
So, okay, we've got rockets, a huge military upset, and a city built on science. 3 incredible, but totally different stories of regional power. What does it all mean when you put them together? Let's just break it down one last time. In Mysore, it was all about that game-changing military technology, the iron-cased rocket. Then you have Kerala, where it was about brilliant military strategy that led to this landmark victory. And up north with the Rajputs, the innovation was a deep commitment to science and rational urban planning. 3 regions, 3 really unique paths to power. Now, in the end, we know how the larger story goes. All of these incredible independent kingdoms were eventually absorbed by the expanding British Empire. But it leaves us with this huge, tantalizing question: what if? What if they had managed to unite? What if the military tech of Mysore, the strategic genius of Kerala, and the scientific vision of the Rajputs had all come together? It really is one of history's most powerful what-ifs. Thanks for joining me for this one.